Hey, John here from John's Do It Yourself. Real quick, I wanted to install a table on my pontoon boat. Now, I've never done anything like this before because I've never really owned a pontoon boat. But when I looked at the actual tables that you could buy, I was not pleased with how small they were and how little space they offered. Now, the cup holders were nice, but I thought I could build my own tabletop. I just need the stand. So I'm going to go through and show you what I did to build the tabletop. We're going to go into actually creating an epoxy logo. Also, I'm going to show you how to install it into the boat and all of that. So if you want to spice up the looks of your pontoon boat, this is a great idea. So let's get cutting.
Before I moved back to Florida, I had a garage sale and sold my dining room table. Now, I forgot that the leaf was actually in the garage still, so it made the journey all the way to Florida. So this is actually what we're going to be starting with, a part of a table that was in my dining room. So I took this leaf and I flipped it over and I grabbed a protractor because on the back side it wasn't stained all the way, so I thought it would be easier to write on. So with the protractor I simply just rounded the corners and we'll start there. I've also shortened this to about 36 inches. So to cut the straight line on the end, all I did was grab my track saw and you will see me here barely make it through the woods, so I'm not going to kill you with making you watch me have to switch out the battery because my saws aren't perfectly charged. So anyway, yes, I do cut it here, and then we move on to the jigsaw to get those corners cut. So when cutting the corners, go ahead and leave it upside down. It's good to be able to see your line, but remember that a jigsaw blade cuts in an upward motion, and you certainly don't want the top side to splinter. Not that we're not going to sand it and edge it and all that, but you don't want any damage to the top side. So just cut both your corners and you should be good. Okay, for your next step, you're going to need a router. Now, you can either draw out the entire logo on the top of the table and then route it out by hand, or if you have a CNC like me, you can go into your program and you can just program what you want it to cut. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to cut, but you know I have my favorites, so let's get cutting. Hey, that reminds me, while you're watching the CNC do its thing, remember to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications, so you don't miss when I post my next project. Your support helps me keep doing what I love to do, and that's cutting wood. Okay, so before you ask, I am using Rolio pigments here, and we're just going to pick out a couple of colors here. I'm going to mix a few colors together to get the exact color I want because the colors that I need are not just standard colors. So, if you have never mixed epoxy before, this is very, very simple because they send you two bottles and basically one is the epoxy itself and the other is the hardener. And you basically mix these 50-50. So however much epoxy you use is how much hardener you use. Now I just did this for show, but I wanted to show you using an actual glass measuring cup because I thought it would be easier to clean at the end, and I could show you that I used the exact same measurements. But my recommendation is actually to use the paper cups or the solo cups, because then you can just write a black line on it, make them both even, pour one into the other, and your cleanup is throwing the cup away. So once you get the two in, then you can choose your color. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mix two colors because I need to get that auburn looking color, or should I say garnet looking color. So I used the brighter red and then I toned it down with a darker burgundy. So I have a makeshift stirrer, and all I'm going to do here is put it on the end of my drill, and I'm going to stir this in until all the mica powder is blended nicely. And it also will be blending the hardener with the epoxy at the same time. So this will take a few minutes. Okay, once it's all blended up and you get the color you desire, it's just pretty easy to just pour it in. So you can squeeze the cup, make it pour a little bit slower, but if you look at my routed out arrow or spear, you'll see that it's not really more than 1/4 of an inch deep. I didn't go too deep, so I wouldn't need too much, and I'm actually going to have a little bit left over. But as you pour, it does have surface tension like water does, so you can probably get it just a little bit higher than the lip, but just make sure everything is filled in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab the heat gun, and we are going to make sure we get all the little bubbles out of it. So we're just going to hit it a few times. Don't go too hard on it because you will actually create bubbles and it can actually burn the surface. So just bring it over. You'll see the little bubbles come to the top and you don't have to do any more. As soon as they pop, they're good. So you just finish with the heat and then we'll let that dry. And while that is drying, we were going to go ahead and clean up. I wanted to show you how easy the glass was to clean, but it turns out that it really wasn't because that epoxy resin is pretty thick. So I had to use a little paint thinner to actually get it off. But the paint thinner worked and my glass was clean again. So while the garnet is drying, I'm going to mix my next two colors, Aurelian Yellow and Gold. That's going to give me pretty close to what I want because, you know, the Florida State logo is garnet and gold. But the gold I have is pretty yellow. And what I want to achieve is that nice tinted gold. So after the garnet has dried, I go ahead and run the CNC again. And we carve out the portions that are going to be yellow. Now you can do this with a standard router too. Just make sure you take your time and follow some lines because you can actually draw right on the hardened epoxy. Okay, so once you're done routing out the interior of the logo, it's time to go ahead and mix your next two colors. And you see this time I'm not going to be using the actual glass measuring cup. I'm going to do what I said and pour a little bit into each cup so you know you have an exact amount. You can hold them side by side or you can just draw little lines, but you can pretty much see through them. So once you get that done, you can go ahead and pour them together. And then you mix your two colors, and then I'm going to try to achieve that perfect gold color that is seen in the FSU Spear logo and see if I can get that to happen. So the same process, we're just going to mix up the actual epoxy. This is not hard. When you're actually stirring it, it is pretty neat because the epoxy starts getting really warm, and that tells you that the hardener is working. But don't be tempted to pour in more hardener or anything like that because then you'll have issues getting bubbles out of your epoxy when you go to heat it at the end. So looking good, I'm going to go ahead and go with this color. Okay, so once you're all mixed up, you can go ahead and pour it in. Take your time. Don't worry about going over. Remember, we're going to be sanding this. I'm actually going to plane it first with the CNC router, so I'm going to take off that layer. Don't think I'm leaving it this color, the actual stain of the table, because once we sand it, all that will be gone. So don't worry about overbleed with the gold because we will be taking it down. But just make sure all the little spots and all the little nooks and crannies are filled. You can use your finger to make sure you're pushing it in there and just keep going until it's pretty much level. And then we'll go ahead and get sanding. And the same as the other, we're just going to run the heat gun over the yellow. And remember, try not to keep it over one spot too long. You can damage the other epoxy that's already dry, and you don't want to do that. So just make sure you're running it long enough to get all the little bubbles out. Okay, so if you've been following along, I want you to know that this step occurred almost a day and a half later because I wanted to make sure if you're going to run a CNC or run this through a planer, that your epoxy is completely dry and hard. It can't be tacky in any way, shape, or form. And that goes for sanding as well. You want to go ahead and wait because you can damage it if you sand too early. So to save time sanding, I went ahead and set it back under the CNC and I took 1/8 of it off. So this just got me down to where when I do sand, I won't have to spend as long sanding. So I just grab a standard of 100 to start. I'm going to get everything real rough. And then I'm going to go down like I do with my shadow boxes. And I'm going to go to 200. And then I'm going to go to 320. I'm going to take it to 400. And then when we get up to the 800s, it's going to be for polishing the spear at that point. Okay, so up to this point, I had sanded all the way up to 800 grit sandpaper, and then the last thing I needed to do is really get that polish on that arrow. And so what I'm going to use here is Wizard's Shine Master, and just a reminder that all the tools and all the things that I use in these videos will be in the description. There will be a link down there so you can find exactly what I'm talking about and what I am using. So all I'm going to do is break out the orbital here, and I'm going to polish up the arrow. Now you try not to get too much on the wood, but you know it's going to happen. But we are going to try to keep this stuff out of the wood, so when we stain this, it won't have any effect on it. So I'm going to try to keep it within the lines here, and I'm going to just polish this arrow up. Okay, so after you're done polishing up the epoxy, you can go ahead and grab your teak oil. Now you don't have to stain it with this, but I just want to bring out the real oak wood color of it, and I think that'll make the arrow pop a little more. So all I'm doing is pouring some teak oil in, rubbing it into it, and then maybe we'll even coat it with some polyurethane later, but we'll see how this looks. If you get it nice and thick onto it, it actually creates a barrier, and you really do need that for when you're out on the water. Next, we need to mount the table bracket to the bottom of the actual table. And so what I recommend is the flange softwood inserts. But the key here is, if you watch me, I'm trying to figure out how far down these are going to go. Because remember, our logo is actually 1/4 of an inch into the wood as well. So the smaller you get, the better. So my real big issue was I only have one of these left, and I needed to go to the store and get more. And then later I find out that I was at the wrong store and they didn't have any more of these. So I had to get something else, and you'll see I recommend you don't use the ones that I get at all, but I'll show you that when we get there. Okay, so the first thing you really need to do here is find the center of your table. So flip it over so you can actually draw on it. We're going to just grab a tape measure, find the center, and then we're going to put the table mount in that dead center, and we're going to draw a circle so we know exactly where it's supposed to be. When you use softwood inserts, you definitely have to drill out the holes so they can screw in nicely. So I'm going to put a little collar on my drill bit because, like I said, I'm afraid to go through the board or into my already hardened epoxy. Remember that while you have it upside down, you can actually figure out the best placing for your screw holes so you're not actually drilling into any epoxy. And even if you do, you can actually skip one of the holes if it's going to go and damage your epoxy. So just keep all that in mind for the back side as you're drilling these out. Okay, a quick cleanup and we will start inserting these plugs. And the real reason for the vacuum is to make sure you have no particles in the holes that would obstruct the plugs from going all the way snug in. Like I said earlier, if you can get the ones that actually use the Allen head and screw in, definitely buy those. I recommend 100% against these type where you're actually going to set the plug on there and you're going to pound it in. And the only reason I say that is because you really are pounding on the back side of the epoxy you just laid. And the last thing you want to do is put any undue stress on it, make it pop out, or even worse, crack it. Okay, once all your anchors are down, you can simply take the top of the table and actually screw it into place and make sure it is good, secure, and snug. There should be a slight gap between your actual base and the wood itself, which is a good thing. It means all your risers are perfectly in place. Next, take the part that came with the actual base of the table, and what you want to do is where I'm actually showing you that circumference with my fingers is how wide your hole saw has to be. You actually have to have one where that lip will actually fit in it. And so what I've done is I've chosen one that is exact circumference of that lip on the bottom of the table stand. So after I made it through the floor, I actually realized how thin my flooring for this pontoon boat was. I was like, wow, we're walking on some pretty thin plywood here. It's only like 1 inch thick. So a quick cleanup and then we can install this. Okay, after the hole was drilled out, it looked to fit really snug and nice. So all I did is I did draw a I did drill a couple of pilot holes, and then I would actually set the screw in place. You want shorter screws because knowing that the actual wood is so thin, I didn't want the ends to protrude through, rust in any way, shape, or form, so I really didn't want them to go all the way through the floorboard. But if you do feel that you've got some screws that might get rusty in the long run, you can go ahead and put a little silicone on them now, or when they're late, you can put a little clear caulk over the tops of the head so they won't be exposed. So now that we've gotten to that, let's get these plugs on the edges of the table filled. Okay, since we were already on the boat, we decided to just run out and watch the sunset since it was such a pretty day. And then we will go back in and plug the side little holes on the side of the table from the actual dowels that were in the actual pieces. So let's take care of that now. Now you've seen me make plugs before. We're just going to take a small piece of matching wood, a small piece of the oak, and we're going to make sure we're going to match the grain up the best that we can. So all we're going to do is take a little hole plug maker, and we're going to bore out at least 7 or 8 holes or dowels. That way we have enough. I think there are 6 holes in this, 3 on each side, and then we'll take care of those. So once you've got them all drilled out, go ahead and take a flathead screwdriver and snap them all free and make a little pile. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill one of those holes with actual wood glue, and we're going to use it to dab it in. So take a little wood glue and fill up each little hole, put a dab in there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take each plug and we're going to tap it in with a hammer. But before you tap it all the way down, if it will go all the way down, make sure you have a handy pair of pliers by to where you can actually turn it and align the grain with the grain of the table. That way it won't stand out. If the grain is flowing in the same direction, it'll actually look better. It'll disappear better when you actually sand it down. Once the plug's dry, you can do a simple sand job on those areas, and then you can re-stain it or re-polyurethane it, whatever you've done, and make it blend in with the rest. Okay, and that's all there is to it. You're done. You can go out, watch the sunset, have a brewski, and enjoy your new table on your pontoon boat. And if you're wondering, yes, I'm drinking the Angry Orchard. My son's going to LSU right now, and he's got me hooked on these things. They're really good. Hey, I'd love to hear your comments on this table. That is, unless you're a Gator fan, and then I know how you're going to react. But at least let me know where you're watching this from and what kind of pontoon boat you have. As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for new notifications when I post more. And if this was a worthwhile watch, hit that thumbs up and get me some more followers. Thanks again, and have a great time boating.